I'm calling to order at this time the study session meeting of January 22nd, 2025. City Clerk, may we please have a roll call?
Councilmember Carnevale.
Here.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory.
Here.
Mayor Ross.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Are there any changes to the study session agenda? Yes. We're not changing Sunline? Yes. I'm not opposed to that. Is there any opposition?
I'm good with that.
We're good. We know. We know. We've got just a minute here. Or actually, I'm sure you could begin. Could you begin? Right, we will. Yeah. So let's do public comments, and if she's not back up yet, Brittany, you can start. So do we have public comments?
Would you like me to read the statement of participation?
I think that's good. You should do that too.
Public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you're a member of the public and you wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the City Clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials or other items to present to the members of the City Council, please do not approach them. All materials shall be presented to the City Clerk for distribution. Now, I don't have any request to speak forms for...
Thank you. And call me fickle. Let's do Sunline after our closed session, which is how we have it now. Okay. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, will you please read the closed session items? Actually, yeah, please. Are we doing...
Are we going to go into closed session now, or are we going to have the presentation?
We're going to do the presentation when we come back. Mona has stepped away.
Okay. We have 2 items on our closed session this afternoon. The first is a conference with your labor negotiator, and the second is a conference with legal counsel with regard to one item of anticipated litigation. Those items are described more thoroughly on the agenda. If there's a member of the public who has a comment on one of those 2 litigation items or the negotiation items, they could comment now. If not, we can recess into closed session.
Shall we recess? Thank you. You'll be up as soon as we're back.
Sophia, are you sure you want me to sign this version? It's got some language in here about them just writing stuff. Oh. Yeah, if we're participate, if we want to be able to do this, then these are the terms.
And wait,
So-
again, I don't like signing things unless
No, I appreciate that. So this section 7 is the one you're going to really want to focus on, because your department, the predecessor, yeah, you'll have to make sure you follow and do all of those things. I don't see anything, with all of this about them, but I don't know how your systems are going to integrate well enough. So you want to look through that to see if it's feasible. We met with regard to the 2 items. You completed your discussion on both of them. You did give direction to your labor negotiators, and you gave direction to your special counsel on the second item. That's the only reportable action from that item. Thank you.
Take my thing. Oh, yeah, no, I'm on. So our next item is Sunline presentation. Please, CEO Babuta, please go on. And that would be Mr. City Manager. Do we have our staff report on this?
No, there is no staff report. We just include that we're happy to have.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I got to remember it's Madam Mayor, not Madam Chair.
But it's still one day.
And Pro Tem Gregory, it's good to see you. Thank you, Charlie, for the invitation, and board members, or council members, thank you very much for having us today. We are here because we want to talk about the transit center on B Street and Buddy Rogers. Sunline has been serving that location for probably decades already. And we would love to see improvements out there, and we would like to help with that. And so we just wanted to kind of just talk to you about our vision and our goals for the facility. And I'm here with my team. They created a PowerPoint presentation that they'd like to share, and then talk a little bit more, maybe engage you and get some information on what your vision might be for the area as well. Sunline, we want to complement what the city has in mind for the space. If it's housing, if it's retail, we want to make sure that we complement that and add value to the space and to the city, and encourage more civic engagement, make it a safer, more inviting area for not only our riders, but also for members of the community here. So that really is our interest at a very high level, and we want to continue to have conversations with you as time moves on. As we identify resources, we want to be able to work with you to see how we can add value to the area here. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul Mattern. Paul is our Chief Planning Officer, and he will share a few more things with you.
Madam Clerk, you've set them up for the PowerPoint? They're set up for the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we're all ready. We're all
Thanks
ready.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Paul, long time no see.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Paul Mattern, Chief Planning Officer of Sunline Transit Agency. We are here today to begin a conversation about the bus stops at B Street and Buddy Rogers. We'd like to talk about a vision that we hope can become a collective effort between Cathedral City and Sunline Transit Agency. So B Street and Buddy Rogers represents a key node or destination to the future service designs of Sunline. We see this stop as our hub in the Western Valley. Cathedral City is positioned in the larger transit system in a way that promotes regional connectivity and mobility. We see this location as a key component in Sunline's long-range plan. Locally, a transit hub located near or within the downtown will promote sustainable growth, which aligns with Cathedral City's general plan. Now, one second. that wasn't supposed to happen yet. So Sunline's long-range vision is a system of distributed hubs. We have hubs situated throughout the valley that connect riders to where they need to go. A key component of hubs is offering amenities to transit riders where they are transferring. Businesses situated next to transit hubs benefit from the foot traffic associated with transit riders. Sunline recently completed a transit hub in Coachella. This hub will be central to the transit services in the Eastern Valley. This hub was funded with grant money from the AHSC, or Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant Program, which also funded an affordable housing development in the lot adjacent to this hub. Sunline's long-range vision centers on Yes, so our long-range vision will center on like hubs that promote this and build on placemaking efforts by communities, like what would happen in Coachella. So promoting sustainable growth by attracting mixed-use development, creating pedestrian-oriented community spaces that promote healthy living is a theme also found in the general plan for Cathedral City. So this slide right here kind of represents a rough outline of the footprint that we are looking at, like in our conceptual model that we designed, which you'll see next, but it's about 90 feet from the curb and 300 feet wide along Beach Street there, where we currently have our stops, with Buddy Rogers at the side street there. This next slide, it's gonna be like a flyover of the model we created, just as a starting piece. So I do wanna, you might get motion sickness from watching this. We try to slow it down as much as possible with our software. So that's just a general, so here we go. So here it is, and when I click next, it's going to begin the flyover view. So. Should have music, the whole thing.
Paul, so you're saying there's room for 3 buses to park there? There'll be 3
Each
buses?
side.
Yes, on the inside and 3 on the outside. So in total, it'll feature like 6 bus bays, a driver comfort building, solar covered shade structures, let's say lighting, and any other amenities we want to offer there.
Is that driver comfort building also open to the public?
Not at this time. This one would just be for the drivers only, a little break room inside with a bathroom.
Or the toilet, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm really thinking.
so they'd
the
have
toilet.
that space to be in. And I think if I go back, let me go, so here, let me see. So here's a picture, if you see the picture here, from the ground level, we put a 5/1 housing development adjacent, behind the site there. So mixing this with the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant, you can find a developer to take the lead on this and first floor retail apartments above it, and really try to build in, create this downtown placemaking where you do have nighttime population that live and that can work and play all right here in downtown Cathedral City. And so we did bring Luis Garcia, our Chief Financial Officer here for Sunline, to talk a little bit about the financial overview.
Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon. Again, as Paul mentioned, my name is Luis Garcia. I'm the CFO for Sunline Transit Agency. Here's a brief financial overview of the potential that Paul just went over. Very early estimates for a potential transit hub, as you just saw, would be probably $4.5 million. Again, this is heavily dependent on when a potential project would start and what the city would like to see incorporated in terms of the overall construction of the project. It's based off of our recent experience with the Coachella hub down that we opened a few months ago. Again, it'd be dependent on what we wanted to incorporate in there, possibly a business center, as Paul mentioned, affordable housing, sustainable communities, potential for free bus passes for the residents in that affordable housing. All that can be options that we could look into if the interest is there. There are multiple competitive funding sources that are available to Sunline to pursue. Again, this would be heavily dependent on the scope of the project and would make some grants more lucrative than others to pursue or ineligible completely if we do not include housing. For example, affordable housing and sustainable communities would not be a good option for us to pursue in that instance. Sunline has experience with all of the funding sources identified on the slide and has either been part of an award or been notified that an application has been heavily considered on any of these grant opportunities that you see listed here on the slide. Lastly, again, there are a number of ways we can partner with the city. For example, our recent transit hub with the city of Coachella involves a long-term lease, ground lease agreement with the city where they own the land. And we also could have a scenario where the land is somehow transferred over to Sunline through a purchase or a donation. Again, there's so many different ways to incorporate this. And again, difficult to speculate what would be the best route without determining what the vision is for this area. But this is just a brief overview of what the potential could be in this area. And with that, I believe that concludes the report. And I'll call Paul or Mona back up, see if they have any questions.
Yeah, so this was basically just the initial conversation we wanted to have with the policymakers of the City of Cathedral City and the leadership. We look forward to continuing a conversation, and we'll continue to work with our organization, with our board, to identify potential funding sources that could help move this project forward, again, depending on what it is that the city would like to see us do. Basically, we want to make sure that we complement your vision. Again, that's important to us. Just basic things that we'll continue to do. We want to make sure that we continue to provide a safe place for our passengers and just look for ways to continue to enhance that and continue to make it a nicer space for people to take public transit. Those are our key objectives. Of course, our interest is to grow ridership, and those are two key elements of growing ridership, safety, and making it a comfortable environment. And so with that, we're happy to answer any questions, get any feedback or comments. We would like to know if this is something that is of interest to the city, making further improvements out there that could result in an actual facility as opposed to just bus stops lining a street. And so again, we're here.
Questions. Madam Mayor,
Yes, of
you
course.
see it on there?
No, we're getting there.
Okay. You mind?
No,
All
please
right,
go.
thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. Now, if you lease it or if we let you use it, is that public property or would that be private property now? Because I'm concerned about the homeless. You're going to build something very nice like this. It is a little bit of a hot spot for homeless there. So how would you maintain keeping homeless from staying on this property?
So it certainly would be public. Dealing with the challenges around the unhoused, that certainly is it's a collective effort, right? We work closely with local organizations like the Mission, the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission down in Indio. We have a good relationship with them. Whenever we run into issues, we will sometimes call them to help us with pointing people to resources and to housing. And of course, we engage with our local law enforcement. And we've worked with like Palm Springs and other cities on putting up signage and enforcing local ordinances to make sure that we prevent loitering from occurring at locations, at public locations.
Okay, thank you. And how much square footage are you expecting to use?
90 by, that's in feet or is that in meters? That's in feet. Okay, so we got to do the math on that one. Sorry.
27,000.
But we would need more land than what we have right now,
So Councilmember Gutierrez said 27,000
27,000.
square feet.
square feet.
About 1.25 acres.
That-
No, about less than half an acre, a little more than half an acre.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I would expect it to be 20 to 30 square feet of land. Right now, I think we're sitting on a public easement, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah. So our request is to use a little bit more of the undeveloped land adjacent to where we're currently serving.
Okay. And I know you have a great reputation keeping your bus stops clean and always hosing them down and making them presentable. So I would assume that would be the same with the property?
Absolutely.
Keeping it clean and, okay.
Absolutely. We'd send our staff, and then if we have any contractors, we would send them over there to help us with any kind of cleaning. You know, we would certainly invest in things like better lighting. If we were to do this, you saw we would look for ways to add more solar out there to ensure that there's good lighting.
All right, my last question is, that's really valuable property to us because we're building our downtown. We have the 13.5 acres going to the east of that. So I just wanted to make sure it doesn't encroach too much on our sales of that property. If it's not taking too much of the property is my concern. So I'd like Charlie to look into that.
Yeah, and as I actually met with Mona and the transit staff, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and we talked through some options. The city general fund owns part of that land, and the housing fund owns part of it. So depending on what the final design of the project is, and if there's a housing component, that may be able to qualify, providing that land as a match for a grant or something like that, and still keeping the East Palm Canyon frontage available for retail. Or, as she suggested, you could have a project that incorporated ground level retail with housing above. So, there's many, many, many options on what could go there, but the parcel is over 5 acres. So setting aside, 27,000 square feet or something like that for this is not going to render it unusable.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Mona. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gregory?
So I'm piggybacking. I'm glad you asked those questions about the possibility of affordable housing, because I know we recently went through the surplusing process on a piece of property nearby, and one of the things that was discussed was that that area is really not likely to score very high with in the scenarios that are needed to be able to obtain public financing that would be needed then for affordable housing. So I'm asking the city management, is that correct? This area of town, and I understand this is slightly off 111, but it doesn't typically score very high in the affordable
based on the
housing.
criteria that you all were presented when we did that analysis, there were other areas in the city that scored higher on that in terms of receiving the tax credits and things like that. That doesn't mean this site couldn't work for that, but you're correct in that.
All right. Well, I just want to make sure, I'm glad you're clarifying that, because, and I think Sunline needs to know that too, though, that this is not, while the property in Coachella may have scored better, and probably because it's up against the mountain and it's not like in the center of a town or anything like that, that we have been informed that the properties up in this area don't necessarily score as high as others for affordable housing.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't mean it couldn't be other types of housing, but that probably wouldn't help with this AHSC grant.
Okay.
So, again, that's not definitive because each piece of property is a little bit different, but you might want to keep that in mind, that you might be needing to look more towards a commercial partner for the rest of that land. But it sounds like that it hasn't been fully explored whether, say, a commercial building with some residential on top, that type of thing, and whether that could be affordable. But it's not prime for affordable housing, I guess, is how I would characterize it, or at least it hasn't been under the recent criteria.
Okay.
Of course, sometimes those criteria change too.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
All right, but I did of course want to express my support. I was supportive of it back when I was serving as the representative for Sunline, and I think that it's very wise of Sunline and the city to partner on this and begin working towards it before the parcel is planned for something else, because I think they need to go together. And I know I was concerned at the time when there was some development looking at at that parcel that if we didn't get into the process at least, that, as was said, you might get a developer who had a vision that needed the entire parcel and was then going to try to move Sunline somewhere else. And Sunline has consistently at least expressed to me, and maybe you can confirm this, that you believe that that is the best site in the downtown area, because there are other vacant parcels, but seems to be a belief that that is the best site. And if so, then I think it's good that you kind of at least get your mark on it and begin working towards it before a developer plans out the whole rest of that site.
It's a great location. It's right off of Highway 111. There's a lot of traffic on Highway 111. If there are things that we can do to alleviate congestion in that area and encourage and facilitate greater civic engagement without a car, we would love to do that. If you notice in the design, we're doubling the capacity. So we are capable, if we can increase the property that we have to serve the area out there, that will allow us to bring more people into Cathedral City. Our long-term vision, and we've already had some conversations with the airport as they talk about expansion, they approached us about, so what can we do to enhance transit service to and from? This would be a great location to move, this would certainly be a stop on the way to the airport and on the way back from the airport. I can see a lot of folks, if they're waiting around for a while to catch their next flight, looking for a place to hang out, if there's an easy way for us to run a trolley or a shuttle to and from the airport, that could create more opportunities to bring people into Cathedral City from outside of the area. That is our interest. If they continue to move the plans forward to build out Coachella Valley Rail, we certainly need to find more places to provide connections to and from wherever the rail station is to Highway 111. Highway 111 is where all the activity is. And you find everything from healthcare to retail to housing. Everything is along there. Art galleries. You have the conservatory there. There's a lot of good things happening on 111. We want to do what we can to facilitate greater transit use and do what we can to reduce congestion.
All right, yes, thank you for the vision, and thank you for moving it forward.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good
My
afternoon.
question is, hypothetically, let's say council does approve the property, whether you purchase it, lease it, donation, whatever it is. What's your timeline if this were to happen, what's your timeline for the first bus to actually arrive?
So we would need to continue to work with our board to make sure that this is prioritized as a budgetary item in our capital budget. We're entering our capital budget process right now. It's $4.5 million. The cost doesn't seem too extravagant. We do see some value in making immediate improvements out there. So if the board approves this, and if we can get this project fully funded in our next budget, we should be able to start looking at hiring a design and engineering firm by this time next year. And then, that process usually takes about 6 to 8 months. And then we start construction. Construction, when we built Coachella took about a year, right? Less than a year. Oh. So, in a couple years, if all the stars are aligned, we should be able to see a new facility out there in a couple years, 2 to 2.5 years.
Now, is this going to be just a bus stop or station for buses, or is this going to be also a refueling for buses as well?
It won't be refueling. It would just be a transit center with amenities for both customers and our employees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, off this topic, your Thousand Palms location, if a friend of mine purchased a vehicle that is hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's listed that they can go and purchase hydrogen refueling from your station. Is that available yet or not yet?
Not yet. Yeah. Not yet. We're still working with the state to basically certify the public station there, the public dispensers. It's built. Yeah.
It's built? Oh, okay.
It is built. We're fueling our buses on the in the facility. That's working fantastic for us, thank goodness. But it's the high pressure. It's the 700 bar dispensers that we're still working with the state to certify. And that is what you need to fuel a Mirai or a hydrogen vehicle.
And how long do you expect that approval to come through, or the inspection to come through?
Walter, here, why don't, Walter Watcher is our Chief of Capital Projects. He's in charge of the project. He can speak to that.
Hi, good afternoon. We expect to pass the state's high-step testing like within 2 months. We've been through the first part of it. The contractor's having to make some adjustments to make it, perfect on the smaller light-duty vehicles. It's a little trickier than fueling the buses. So, but yeah, about 2 more months and we'll be up and running.
So for the public to actually come and purchase hydrogen, about approximately 2 to 4 months?
I'm hoping 2 months at the far end of it. The state's really been helpful with our contractor. It seems like it'd be an easy process, like putting gasoline in a car, but they really have to control the temperature of the hydrogen, and the smaller the car, the tighter those controls have to be, and that's something like the contractor's working on. So I think we're really close to getting it, and we're going to get the state back, and this time I think we'll pass that test, and the easy weights and measures test, and we're there. So.
One last question. Now, will the customers be able to refuel themselves, or does staff have to do it?
It'll be self-serve. Customers will be able to come in. There's a small display on the pump that kind of gives you easy instructions. But most consumers that are familiar with the Toyota Mirai, it's the same process at any station. The nozzle actually looks very similar to a gasoline nozzle, and it kind of clips on there. And then it does a lot of safety checks, and then it starts a high-pressure fill.
Oh, okay. Right.
So, yeah, it'll be all self-serve.
Thank you.
Sure.
Going back, if you don't mind, Madam Mayor, going back to Councilmember Gutierrez's question about fueling. I mean, if the city wants to talk about, we would not be able to do hydrogen fueling there, but if there's a vision for the city to build out electric charging infrastructure, that's certainly something that we can talk about building into the project.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good idea. Councilmember Lamb?
Thank you very much for your presentation. Most of my questions have been answered. However, I had intended to take a field trip out to the Coachella project to see what it actually looked like. Where is the exact location?
It's on Cesar Chavez and 4th Street,
Okay.
right? Did I get that right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
So I'll just bring it home with a couple questions myself.
Sure.
This looks like it has solar panels on the roof. Coachella has wind sails.
Yeah, so they don't have solar panels
They don't
because
have
it's a
solar,
lot
okay.
harder to,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, this is just a conceptual
Sure,
plan,
sure.
right? I mean, we would certainly work with the city on how you want to create that sense of place there. Yeah.
I can't speak for anybody but myself, but I do believe that solar makes more sense than wind sails. But, that's just me. So you talked about the lighting. How would that lighting affect the residents right across the street at the senior center?
That would be something we would work with. So before we would kick off a project like this, we would do some public outreach, right? And we would work with the city to make sure that everything is done just right so that we're not upsetting the community, but rather making them happier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I understand that. And then I guess really that answered both my questions. So I think that completes our questions. Is there anything more you'd like to share with us?
No, we just look forward to continuing the conversation, if anything.
Bring it back around. Does anybody have any further questions? Thank you. We're going to open it to public comment.
Thank you.
I don't have any request to speak forms for this item, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, now would be the time. Dorian?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I just don't think not building nice public spaces because of homeless people is an option. This is the country that we live in. So, and also, to getting here from the airport easier, we still need a line on Gene Autry Trail. That's how I would connect it faster, because right now we have to go all the way to Ramon and Date Palm. All the way through downtown first. So Gene Autry Trail is really that middle part that is missing between Cathedral City and Palm Springs for a better connection. And also for CEO Mona, thank you for your presentation today and everything that you do. I agree with everything that you say, and except for I think safety and cleanliness and comfort is something that causes more ridership. But more importantly than that, I believe getting us from point A to point B easier is much more welcoming to new ridership and new drivers who want to stop driving. And I say this, I have 2 cars, and I definitely want to take public transportation. I do not want to drive anymore. And so that's with all the detours that we have right now on all of our routes, that's what makes it inconvenient. So thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
So I don't have any other request to speak forms, and I don't see any other members of the public here in the council chamber, so I think that concludes it.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We really appreciate it. You're sure welcome to stay all night long, but we understand if perhaps this is a good time. Look at you knowing you're next up. The next item will be our Fall 2024 recap of events and Spring 2025 events preview. Mr.
Thank
City
you,
Manager,
Mayor.
would you like
I'll just let Ryan take it away. It is a recap of our fall events and a look ahead to our spring events. Ryan?
Thank you, City Manager. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, it's good to be with you. This is always a fun presentation to give and talk about all the excitement and to also talk about some milestones from the previous season, which in this case would be the fall. So I'll go through a fall events recap and preview what's in store really very shortly in the spring, and in some cases already underway. Strategic plan goals, just wanted to highlight those right off the top. F2, which is promote additional community events and celebrations, and F3, which is to promote and raise awareness of the community amphitheater. This certainly checks both those strategic plan goals. Milestones, you saw a little bit of this, but I do have a few updates when I gave an amphitheater marketing update presentation to you all a few meetings ago. The amphitheater's rise in popularity has been recognized. I've now learned that we were second place to Acrisure Arena in the top 3 for the Desert Suns Community Choice Awards for its best event venue in the Coachella Valley. So kudos to the amphitheater and everybody who voted. Very appreciative of that. And a significant milestone, which we've touched on, is Emily West and Leanne Rhymes representing the venue's first headliner concert, the venue obviously being the Cathedral City Community Amphitheater, and that was at the Balloon Festival on November 23rd. New events, both city-sponsored and from a special use permit applicants are on the rise. I've got Adam Chastain here with me, Events and Recreation Coordinator, doing a really good job. He can certainly attest that we're busy. We're getting a lot of good applicants and new events that are coming our way, and I feel like we're honing in and making the best out of what we already have in place as well. So this includes the success of the inaugural season of Tastes and Sounds, which will be back in just a couple of weeks for another spring event series in the amphitheater, as well as third-party events like the Color of Spectrum Autism Arts Festival, which will be back, Meet Chavella Fest, 8th Annual Palm Springs Police Association Memorial Ride, Coachella Barber Fest 2024, might have been one of the higher attended events that we've had from a third-party standpoint, and the Autism Society Inland Empire's Autism Walk and Festival. I left off the Bully Fest event, but that was also incredibly well attended over this past weekend. So lots of good excitement that's building, and we're happy to keep capturing that momentum and move forward with that. You've seen this too, but just to reemphasize that where we come from 2022 to now,
Wow.
20 calendar weeks covered from 2022 to now, and I anticipate 2025 will be even more than that. So we're really excited about the momentum. I won't go through all this again, but I thought it was good for the public to see that as well. Just kind of recapping, it always usually kicks off with Coachella Valley's Battle in the Desert, which took place this year on October 19th. Projected attendance was 1,000. It's a record. It was pretty much the same as last year, which is great. Produced by Jesus Gonzalez, an officer with the Cathedral City Police Department. The event is sanctioned by USA Boxing, encourages law enforcement officers and public safety personnel to compete in the sport of boxing, and $5,500 to $6,000 in proceeds each year go to local charities, and this year was the Cathedral City Police Department Department Explorer Program, Adrian Cordova Foundation, Diaz Brothers Training Camp, kind of youth foundations encouraging after-school programs. So a really good note there that was provided by Jesus. Appreciate that. Halloween, which is becoming a really nice companion piece to Halloween Spooktacular. This was Saturday, October 26th. Certainly the brainchild of Antonio Beishu, the vice chair of the Parks and Community Events Commission, and really we were excited as a communications and events department to support this event. It's a Panorama Dog Park, which has just really been a great asset to Cathedral City in so many different ways. And 222 attendees. We had 30 dogs enter the contest, and we had another 30 dogs watching this year. So we had some dog spectators, which I thought was a lot of fun. I really want to give a shout out to Grocery Outlet Cathedral City. They sponsored it this year. They also sponsor food for our Rainbow Crossing painting, which they're hopefully in line to do again this year in a couple of weeks. So they've been a really good community partner. We had a new category this year, which was Best Look-alike Costume. So I'm excited to see where that will take us next year with even more marketing and production. This is starting to get some media attention too, which is good. So we're excited for this to be a part of our regular repertoire of fall event activities. And then Halloween Spooktacular, I think you're all familiar with that one. We hosted that on October 27th of 2024, about 3,500 attendees. We went up to 60,000 pieces of candy, still not enough. We're hopefully going to crack that code, but I think that's where we're at. We got a little bit longer with that 60,000 this year. I think we ran out about an hour and a half in last year, so this was a little bit more sustainable, which is good. Shout out to DJ Shauna with Jacob's Way Productions, who also participates in Snowfest, but great trick-or-treating. You can see the costumes there, food for purchase from Meester Zebra, and obviously the kids winning free bicycles. This is also really essentially Cathedral City's national night out too, so kudos to our police department, our fire department for always having such a great presence at the event. You can see our chief, George Crum there. You can see a firefighter handing some candy out to Spider-Man kid there, which is really cool, and then the folklorico groups that perform from our high school. So I think it really is the definition of what a true community gathering and event can be, and is always one that puts a smile on our face when we're doing it. Palm Springs Pride Parade. As you can see, we got 2 years in a row. We were able to find the old gays shouting at us as we were in the parade. So I got another photo and shout out from them. So we appreciate the old gays and their support. Cathedral City's own. Attendance is booming for this one. 125,000 plus attendees. I think they've broken that attendance record for the last 4 or 5 years. It took place on Sunday, November 3rd this year, and it featured our branded Pride T-shirts. The black T-shirts with the rainbow were so popular that we really just kind of supplemented that. We'll try to get a new design this year, but we really liked the momentum of that T-shirt design, and everybody seemed to want to be a part of it. So I see them still when I'm around downtown and people wearing them even when it's not a Pride event, which is really, really cool. So the theme celebrated both the Cathedral City International Hot Air Balloon Festival and Cathedral City LGBT Plus Days, which you'll hear more about. That comes back on March 7th through March 9th. Some pictures, I think you've seen this kind of collage, but really was a great moment for the amphitheater and for really the appreciation that we have for you all as a council to make an investment like this, to make this night special, to have a headline act and performer to elevate the amphitheater and the Balloon Festival. Just really appreciative of council's investment in that. And obviously we all got a great shot with Leanne Rimes, which is really cool. The projected attendees, 35,000, which is a record attendance. Saturday really pushing that over the top. It was, I think Councilmember Gutierrez found me and he was like, I can't find any parking, which is a good problem to have for the Balloon Festival, which was really a lot of fun. Mentioned the headline performance, won't go over that too much, but featured hot air balloons from all over the world, including the return of Cathedral City's balloon. You can see that lit up. Really nice shot there. Food trucks lined up along Avenida Lalo Guerrero this year. We got great feedback that was a much needed or successful adaptation of what we had in the past, and vendors were very happy with having a lot more foot traffic in the street come up to them, and I certainly saw lines that were pretty steady throughout the event, which was good. Drone light show, I think it was the best one yet. We'll see if they can top it for LGBT Plus Days this year. Tethered balloon rides, a car show, festival lawn movie screening, which was Disney's Up, Touch a Truck, which involved our police and fire department again, Kid Zones, live music, and more. Snowfest. So we went back down, scaled it down again to more of a tree lighting, 4 hours. And we did keep the Saturday placement, though. I think that feedback that we got a few years ago, that Wednesdays are harder at 5 to get kids off and to get off work and get the kids out there from school and everything. So the real snow, as you can see, it's one of my favorite shots of the year, where you can see the snow in front of the Civic Center plaza with all the kids playing and throwing snowballs and having a great time. We're hoping to find ways to expand our footprint even more. I think we need even a little bit more snow if we can find a spot for it. But I saw Mayor Ross out there with Antonio throwing snowballs, and it was cool to see. It's always cool to see so many kids who've never experienced snow have that experience for the first time, and so I think to have that was really, really cool. The Snowfest Express, I want to give Adam a shout out for, he did an inflatable kind of zoo that was lit up, so as you took the Snowfest Express, you can see all the animals out there and lit up, and we hope to expand that even more next year. But with the villages kind of going away, we wanted to find a way to kind of still have an activity that would be good for photos and supplement that for the kids. So I thought that was a big success. Performances by our very own Cathedral City High School, both band and choir. We also had the Desert Carolers this year, and KSQ's Peter Doubt served as the MC, did a terrific job for the tree lighting, as you can see you all with him, and our Assistant City Manager, Ann Ambrose, in front of the tree. It was a really good, and I think we've got the best Santa and Mrs. Claus in the business. I think they do a terrific job as well. So we were really, really excited to have a great turnout for Snowfest this year. Palm Springs International Film Festival, you can see our sponsor logo that was at the Film Awards. I still think this is one that we really get a lot of, return on investment for the sponsorship, and is a gold sponsor. I think it's been really good for the Mary Pickford, obviously. Still working on 2025 numbers, but I've already touched base with Ted. He's informed us that once again, they've added even more screenings to the Mary Pickford than they ever have. That increase has continued for several years now. I don't want to say that the Mary Pickford's their favorite, but I think it would, maybe I'm a little biased, but I do think they love the Mary Pickford, and it is one of the best, if not the best theater in the Coachella Valley. So really happy. That's why we do it, to provide, one of our businesses in the community support, but also to give Cathedral City branding awareness and recognition, which I think is fantastic for you all as a council to support. So really appreciative of that. Family Day, we had our Community and Economic Development Director, Andy Firestein, was out there reporting back. He said it was really, really a lot of fun this year. I think he took his kiddos out there, but they really upped their game from last year to this year. A lot more food trucks, more activities, and so I think that's going to become more of a thing moving forward. So I like that they choose to do their Family Day in downtown Cathedral City, which is great. Really, really excited. 158 films, 71 countries, and a record 68 movie premieres, which is really, really cool, because some of these come from Toronto and Sundance and other film festivals. So when you really get a unique premiere in the Coachella Valley, even at the Mary Pickford, that's really an exciting thing to see. Yoga in the Amphitheater, Antonio Beishu again leads this program as the coordinator for us. He's assisted by volunteer and former Commissioner Gary Marshall. Adam Chastain got his first rundown of that event just yesterday. 88 attendees. Antonio was ready with the stopwatch or the check-in clicker to be able to count the attendees. So 88 for a cold, chilly kind of first day was pretty impressive. So we're excited about that. And he's very competitive, wants to break that record attendance from 2024 and 2025. So I have no doubt that we'll work to do that. But kudos to the commission and their support on this one. Gentle Yoga, for those who don't know, takes place at 8:30 every Tuesday morning. This will run through March 25th. And Power Yoga is from 10 to 11. Gentle Yoga, a little bit more for beginners, for all ages, for all skill sets. And then Power Yoga is a little bit more advanced. But we really are appreciative of Patty Wexler and Nicole Cooney, our instructors that do a fantastic job for us for that. So I'm really, really excited. I know Councilmember Lamb's always out there excited for yoga too. So we're really, really excited to kind of continue that success. And once Taste and Sound starts, you have yoga in the morning and then Taste and Sounds in the evening. It's a really nice way to promote the amphitheater. Taste of Jalisco Festival. So attendance in 2024 was a little bit down from 2023. I've mentioned that we had really miserable, wet, cold weather for most of that weekend. So, I was looking at the forecast and trying not to get too excited, so I won't say anything out loud on the mic. But I'm anticipating that we won't have cold, wet weather. I'm hopeful. But we still had about 10,000 plus attendees, a really good Saturday night and Sunday performance. Sunday has actually been really the most popular day the last 2 years, which is interesting for that. The carnival runs really late. It's going to be even bigger this year, if that can be imagined. And then our artisan craft vendor market, tequila tastings, a tequila tasting competition. Hopefully we'll have some council members back to judge that, which should be a lot of fun. But the festival, I really liked this. We're really pushing Sound Skills and other vendors to have unique things that you can't get anywhere else, especially when it's rooted in Tequila, Jalisco, Mexico. So having more culinary experiences. So we're going to do traditional salsa making, how to make authentic guacamole, and then crafting top shelf margaritas. And we're bringing in local restaurateurs to do that. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. That's a new entity to explore this year. And then two major headline events, a Banda, a group that has almost 1 million followers on social media. So that should be a lot of fun with Nacho Bustillos opening for them. And then Lucha Libre. I know we had then Mayor Carnevale out there leading the charge with Council in the Ring. We'll see if we can get you out there again to address the crowd. But that was a lot of fun on Sunday to see everybody out there. And this just keeps getting bigger and better every year. So we're really excited about Taste of Jalisco. And then I'll just show you a promo video that we did with CCTV's Conrad Angel Corral.
Bienvenidos a Taste of Jalisco. Get ready for an incredible cultural journey from Cathedral City to the heart of Mexico's tequila country. Feel the rhythm with live performances by Banda Maguey featuring Nacho Bustillos.
Disfruta de emociones y juegos y atracciones para toda la familia.
Savor authentic Jalisco cuisine from our amazing food vendors.
No te pierdas la exclusiva cata de tequila, celebrando el espíritu de Jalisco.
Discover unique treasures at our artisan crafts market. And experience the excitement of Lucha Libre Mexicana with our high-flying wrestlers.
Acompáñanos al Taste de Jalisco en Cathedral City del 31 de enero al 2 de febrero. Celebra la cultura, la comida y la diversión al estilo Jalisco.
Got a bilingual presence there, which was really nice. And that voice is Miguel from Leanna and Miguel, who performed at Taste and Sounds and will be back with us for Taste and Sounds this year. So appreciate him lending his talent to do some voiceover work in kind for us. That was very, very nice. And February 11th through April 8th, as you can see, Taste and Sounds of Cathedral City. Really, really excited about the lineup this year. We've got some returning favorites. We've also got some new additions. Daytime Moon, who performed at the Balloon Festival a few years ago, will be out there. The Dreamboats, which was our highest attended last year, will once again be doing an LGBT Plus Days kickoff that week leading up to LGBT Plus Days. Giselle Wu and the Night Owls, Radio Ready. We're going to combine the band and choir as one night this year instead of separating them. And then ABBA-Fab we thought was kind of booked a little bit late in the Balloon Festival lineup, and they were really, really great, but I don't think enough people knew about them, so we're going to give that another chance and see if we can market it a little bit more and get them out there. And then Leanne and the free agents, Leanne and Miguel, will round that out for us on April 8th. Mr. Zebra will be back. Nick's Bistro will be joining us this year. We'll have El Reaper Chicken, TKB, Uncle D's Smokehouse Barbecue and Grill. What's so great about this is they've all gone through our code compliance vendor program. And so partnering with Justin Gardner to be able to go through this process, they've had so many good food trucks that have been authorized, and then they get their Riverside County health permits and all of that. So it's a really great program that I want to give code compliance a shout out for, because I had a couple of employees come up to me at the employee appreciation lunch, and they were like, "You got to try El Reaper Chicken." So I've heard that so much now that I'm ready to go. I'm ready to eat some El Reaper Chicken when they come in. E&E Pels will be back for 4 or 5 dates as well, just down the street. So really good representation of those that have gone through our Cathedral City process, and also our homegrown and home businesses here in Cathedral City. So we're really, really excited about that. And we did change the time this year, 5:30 to 7:30, so it won't be 5 to 7. So with the sun, the time change and everything, we're going to try to, instead of splitting it up to 2 different times, that might be confusing, we're trying to keep it cut in the middle, but we did take that feedback. Free admission, and we are going to explore BYOB again. We had some success with that, so working with our police department, we'll have private security there as well, so we'll be happy to bring that back as well. Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. So Mayor Ross, I know, is getting ready for her for her pitch. Mayor Carnevale did a great job last year, and Mayor Lamb the year before. So excited to be back out there. That'll be February 20th, so that's the Thursday game. I think it's at 5 o'clock. We'll have all of our mayor and council out there. It's always a really nice reception, and we hope to have everybody there. And I think it should be a lot of fun. I can't remember the matchup, but I'll have to get that. But the attendance for this has been 33,000 plus and increasing each year. Big League Dreams Cathedral City, obviously hosting this event. Another shout out to Parks and Community Events Commission. They really stepped up brought their A game for a visitor booth last year with local menus, and so we'll be assisting that commission with being able to gather all those materials and man that. I know Antonio was out there and had other commissioners as well. So really, I think highlighting local businesses and giving people recommendations of where they can spend their tax dollars here in Cathedral City would be really nice again to have. And then we also provide teams and guests with branded swag through the Environmental Fund. Deanna Presgrove does a great job. So we get that final logo, and then we order those bags and hand them out to all the teams and guests, which is good branding for Cathedral City. So really excited about that. You can see our group photo that we took last year. Cathedral City LGBT Plus Days. So we added the plus this year, be a little bit more inclusive. It is California's first Pride of the Year, which we're proud of. Presented by Agua Caliente Casinos for the second straight year. I want to commend them. They upped their financial contribution even more this year, so really appreciative of that. And Misconception, I have a little highlight reel for you to check out. I think she does about 30 costume changes, plays every character of the Wizard of Oz, and so she's really popular in Puerto Vallarta and has had a good residency at times here in Palm Springs. She's celebrating 25 years, her anniversary show, so it'll be nice. That'll be at the Mary Pickford Friday and Saturday night. If you want something a little more low-key and relaxing, Some Like It Hot will be the amphitheater screening this year, so we'll have a Friday night movie Under the Stars in the amphitheater, and then the Sunday tea dance with international house music stars DJ Aaron and Beth Sachs. So we've had records the last 2 years for the bed races, so I'm hopeful we can keep that going. It's just such a great experience. We'll have a lot more cabana VIP type flares that people can experience too if they want to have that viewing experience. We're trying to do more with shade covers and make sure the sun's not quite as in your face. So I think it's going to have a nice new look to it while also still preserving the history and the tradition of it. So you can see the poster there. Bella DeBall and John Taylor will be back as our MCs, and I believe Eric Ornelas will be doing some DJing for us. So that should be a lot of fun, and we're really excited about Misconception, as I mentioned. Here's an ad for the drag race. So we'll be doing a drag race in addition to the bed race this year. We did a Cathedral City drag contest a few years ago. Angelique Vigorgeous was the winner. She'll be back to crown the new winner of the Cathedral City drag race. We actually only have one more spot open to compete, so that really is already taken off. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. And then here's a little teaser for Misconception that we'll be promoting. Tickets are on sale now at the box office. We're still working out a few kinks with Ted Hain over there to make sure their online sales will start going in, but that should be wrapped up this week, so we'll be getting that going.
Don't miss Misconception at Cathedral City LGBT Plus Days. Join us Friday, March 7th, and Saturday, March 8th, at 7 p.m. at the Mary Pickford Theater for a spectacular show, Misconception, Sashay Through the Desert, celebrating 25 years of Broadway and the big screen. Tickets are on sale now at cathedralcitylgbtdays.com. Celebrating 25 years of entertaining audiences worldwide, Kevin Levesque's Misconception brings his unforgettable female delusionist act to Cathedral City. Experience a dazzling one-woman show packed with live singing, hilarious parodies, and seamless on-stage costume transformations.
Well, this is presented for information only, but I'm obviously always happy to take your questions and hear your discussion.
There is action required. Good
Oh,
job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anything else?
Councilmember Gutierrez, please. Oh, I'm sorry. But you're the only one that's, oh, they're switched all night. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Councilmember Lamb.
Just wanted to make a comment. First of all, I think this is phenomenal, and the job you're doing and how electric Cathedral City is. It's spectacular.
Thank you, Councilmember.
But I missed a lot of the activities, especially around Snowfest and for a variety of reasons. But I was able to go to the yoga in the park in the amphitheater yesterday, and I just wanted to comment. You know, we know the amphitheater is spectacular. But it was well deserving of a place for the wonderful event space. But these two ladies were walking out of yoga. The first time they had ever attended yoga in the park, they had heard about it through friends living in their complex. I think they were at Cathedral Canyon Country Club for the season. They're snowbirds, and they couldn't believe the amphitheater ever existed. They had no idea it was there. And you have that little code. I don't know what that is, but it's the little square thing. It's called something or other, and you take a picture of it, and yeah, whatever it is.
Oh, the QR code? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they were all snapping pictures because now there is a new. Like a bulletin there, a canvas, that talks about tastes and sounds and all sorts of activities, and they were taking out their and writing down notes because they wanted to go here and there, and they couldn't believe this is all offered by Cathedral City for free. This is part of our commitment to our community. And that kind of feedback,
Love that.
it is just wonderful, but I wanted to let you know because I know you guys are doing such a yeoman's job of doing all this. And Antonio Beishu and Gary Marshall were out there to greet the people, recognize them, help them get more information about upcoming activities, and really sell Cathedral City. So thank you for all that you're doing.
I appreciate that, Councilmember. At the addition of Adam Chastain, the Events and Recreation Coordinator position through the Foresight Council and having that approved has really, I think, allowed us to take that next step. And Kevin Lockwood, you see a lot of his work on the designs in here as well, but really appreciative that we have Adam on board and all your positive comments, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Our events are magnificent, just like Councilmember Lamb mentioned.
Thank you.
A lot of people from other cities actually do come to our city to celebrate and to attend our events, and they enjoy them quite a bit. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Now, just a few comments regarding almost each event that we had.
Sure.
Battle in the Desert. I noticed that back in the day, it was a little better situated. The way the ring was located, there was people all around. I don't know if they can move it down and have VIP up on top so people can actually surround the ring. I noticed that, I don't know if attendance has gone down a little bit, but it would be more enjoyable. Just a suggestion.
The attendance reported matched last year's attendance, but we can certainly talk to him about that. It's not the first time I've heard that, so I think that's great feedback to provide to Jesus. I think when it was outside the amphitheater, it had much more of a level viewing. I wasn't here, but it allowed people that atmosphere that you're kind of talking about to be right up to the ring and kind of ringside and have that experience. So we can certainly work with him to suggest new positioning on that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Now, regarding spectacular, have we ever had face painting for kids? Something that
I don't believe
truly
we've had a face painter for Spectacular, but certainly no reason why we couldn't.
Yeah, I suggest maybe kids love that.
Yeah,
love that.
we had
so
it for
if we can hire a face painter to actually attract more kids.
I think that's
to
a great
enjoy
idea.
A little bit more.
Yep.
And also a balloon artist
Yeah.
Those clowns that actually get the balloons and they make everything out of it.
We can certainly look into both
Yeah,
of those.
Those two. Now, for the Balloon Fest, how did we do regarding ticket sales for the Leah Rhymes concert?
Yeah, we did well. We recovered about half of the investment, so about $50,000 generated in revenue for the concert. So.
Oh, that's great. Good to hear. Now, regarding the Taste and Sounds of Jalisco, how many of those musicians that are going to be performing this year participated last year?
You know, I'd have to get the full number from Sound Skills. They've been managing the kind of music lineup. I do know
Taste
there's...
and Sounds.
Oh, talking about Taste and Sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd say probably about 75%.
10%?
Yeah.
Radio Ready participated last
Radio
year.
Ready participated last year. Yeah. Daytime Moon is different. ABBA-Fab was not part of it last year as well. But we had such success. You know, some of these, you know, also having homegrown talent like Giselle Wu and the Night Owls, we want to give them an annual opportunity if we can, because they've been, you know, gone through our high school system and had success. Band and choir is a no-brainer to be able to have that. But we certainly tried to measure, you know, some new excitement with also being able to bring back some of the hits. I mean, Dreamboats was, you know, I mean, that was a hard one to say. You know, we obviously wanted them back because of how well attendance was, but we can certainly, as this continues, look at new bands and new groups.
Is the lady that sang like, what's her name? Hispanic lady.
Talking about Leanna?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leanna and Miguel will be back.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
they'll
gonna be
be back on April 8th. Yep.
Okay. Very well, beautiful. I'll be there. A lot of my friends.
I think you were there for every single one last year, so yeah, I appreciated you being there.
I think I missed one only, but
Yeah.
a lot of my friends for where I play golf, all the way from Des Hot Springs, I invited them, and anywhere between 4 to 10 do come, and hopefully a lot more to enjoy it as well. And they also not just only come to the concert, but they also frequent some of our local restaurants.
That's great.
And including Mayor Pickford Theater quite a bit. Okay.
That's fantastic.
Now, regarding Taste of Jalisco, just since you're trying to do new events, one of them that we did before this company that Sound Skills took over, we did it once, in which a friend of mine owns has a club, a horse club, and it was a huge hit. They had the horses. People were just in love with them, watching them, doing everything they did. Is there any way possible we can contact them and bring them back for 2 hours?
I'm sure we
on
could
a Saturday,
coordinate that.
Saturday morning. They do it for free.
Yeah, I'm sure
So
we
it'll
can
be
pass that on
free.
to Sound Skills, and that's the first time hearing of it, but I'm sure it was a success, and we can work that into the
Yeah,
festival.
it was a huge
Yeah,
hit. People
yeah.
just love them.
That's
So
great
it'll be-
feedback.
And I can contact this, a friend of mine, and they'll be happy to. They had about 20 to 30 horses. It was beautiful, beautiful. They were all
Perfect. If
dressed
you
up.
have that contact information, if you could
Yes,
share
I
it
do.
with me, that would be great.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
get
share
right
it
on
with you,
it.
and
Yeah.
if we can make it work, it will definitely be a hit.
Thank you, Councilmember.
And since you're adding an additional things to do, the guacamole competition or making. Now, one thing that is very common to the state of Jalisco, in which tequila is at, is also carnitas. Now, Indio has a tamale festival. Why can't we have a carnitas festival? That will be people making them right in front of you. I can get my brother to make him. He makes the best carnitas in town, so I can have him there. Oh,
Let's dream big together, Councilmember. You're
Well,
making me
that's
hungry.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. We can certainly explore that.
But that can be just a huge competition to the tamale festival. I'll tell you that just by having that. Yeah.
I won't name specific names, conversations being, kind of confidential, but we do anticipate that food type of experience in the amphitheater could be a next step for us as far as attracting some of those. I think I've talked to Councilmember Carnevale a little bit about that too. We would love to have, whether it be like a barbecue cook-off or, a carnitas festival, like you said. I think that space, maybe even transitioning some that are indoors now to our amphitheater, that are not necessarily our events, but we could provide that venue. I think that would be a great use of the space for sure.
My brother makes them for us every Christmas and Thanksgiving for the home for about 60 people. If we can, if you like to, I can talk to him to see if he'd like to do it just Saturday here. You'll see what the potential could be.
Well, first I want them at my house, but yeah, we can work on that. No, absolutely.
I'll invite him.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Okay. So the Taste and Sounds of Taste and Sounds of Cathedral City will be from 5:30 to 7:30.
Correct. Yes, every week.
Well, thank you. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
you.
That concludes my
Thank you very much.
questions,
So
comments.
I just have a couple of things to tell you. I love so many of the things we do, and they bring out the very best in us. And I've told this story many times, but I don't know if you've ever heard it. The first year we did the bed races, and they started coming down, and it was primarily men, right? And I have no problem with men. And so as they were coming by, I was going, about 2 minutes into it, I was going, like some kind of crazy person. I was like, oh, thank goodness my husband's not here. I really looked like I'd go home with any of them, but I actually wouldn't have. And then I do just want to put a little note in your ear, the TKB truck that's coming.
Yes.
They should come straight to my house after they're done there, and I promise to pay them as much as they get at the amphitheater. We could eat that many of their sandwiches. So
I will pass that along for sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
That actually concludes my silliness, and thank you so much for your presentation. I really
have
appreciate
one
it.
question.
Oh,
Thank you,
he's
Mayor.
changed his
You were
mind.
pretty close with Leanne Rhymes. I guess it was her assistant.
Yeah.
Did you ever ask him what she does with the rocking chairs? I mean, she must have a bunch of them. Does she have a museum?
That's
or-
a great question.
I mean, I thought
Yeah,
that would
her
be the
tour
first-
manager and I do still text. I can certainly pass
Ask him.
that along and
I
ask.
get the Coca-Cola and the candy,
Yes.
especially, but a rocking chair, I think that's really a unique idea, but maybe she donates them or something.
Well, I think one ended up
So, yeah,
in
what
a
happened
residence.
to the rocking chair? So the rocking chair got donated to the Boys and Girls Club for their gala.
Oh, it did?
And I let's just say I sat in it this last Monday when I was up in Big Bear. So I wonder who won it at the gala.
Okay.
It is now safely residing in its own little house, but it is out of Cathedral City.
I love that.
For now.
Thank you so
all.
much for
Appreciate
your
it.
presentation.
Asked for see my name right
Only later. I didn't see it until now. But now, oh, do you still have questions?
So, hey, I was on I was on the list to speak, but somehow I got omitted by the mayor. So I just wanted to echo the comments that that you've already heard, that you already know that these events have really stepped up and are very proud to have them in the city and recommend them to people. And occasionally we have suggestions for things to change, but usually we get. I try to get to those to you or the city manager pretty quickly after, and you've always been quite responsive for the ones that you can fix. So thank you again for continuing to try to make these better. So I will bring up again, because I had promised that I would every time that we speak until it actually starts happening routinely, that it would be
I'm
nice
going to preempt you. Is that the
advertise
banners
these.
at the dog park?
Yes,
Because
it'd
they're
be
going
nice.
in this week for Taste of
All right.
Jalisco.
Well, I heard something about the canvas being up, and I'm thinking, well, I was at the dog park today, and there still hasn't been anything.
No,
up there,
Public Works
so-
should be installing that either tomorrow or Friday for Taste
Last
of
year,
Jalisco.
the Taste and Sounds was up there, and I know
Yes.
a number of people did attend from seeing it there, but particularly north area of town, I think all over town, though, it's good that we do advertise because I know you do plenty, so I'm not blaming these people that say they don't know, just like people say, I didn't know there were such a thing as council meetings. What do you say, So if people that say they didn't know that there were events going on when you're advertising them all over the place. But, if we could continue to try to do that for people that are at least using our city facilities, I think there's a better chance that they will get involved. My anticipation is you're probably going to be involving the Desert Recreation District as we move into that for the next fiscal year. It won't be until then, but I know that they're usually pretty good at participating in events and for advertising.
Have a great relationship with Scott Sear and really excited about the partnership with DRD. I do want to share a note, and Adam can back me up. I did go to both Adam and Kevin, and I said, now Councilmember Gregory reminded me that we need to make sure we have one at the dog park too for Panorama. So we actually are doing 5 banners now instead of 4. One at the normal cage spot and then one on the fence line over by the dog park.
It would be a missed opportunity if
I
you
agree.
did. And as my colleague on council said, it amazes me when I go to CVAG meetings or other, even Transportation Commission meetings, either there or seeing some of them here. People are coming from other governments and from other cities to our events, and so that's a real telltale that they're hearing and their experience in sharing that the quality is so much. It's so high, so thank you again for that.
Well, thank you. It takes the support of you all as a council, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Our next item is our fiscal, I'm sorry. Did you have something more you wanted to? Oh, we have public comments. That's right. We do actually have people here.
So I don't have any request to speak forms for this item, but if you are a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand. And I see no hands raised.
Well, we tried. Thank you. So our next item up, which will be our final item of the study session, is the 26-27. Mr. City Manager, do you have a staff report?
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin Biersack, your Financial Services Director, will present this item, which is just an overview of what's going to come over the next 4 months as we build the budget for the next 2 years.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff. As the City Manager said, this is a preview of the next 4 months and what we've been working on this past month. So as usual, any questions, please feel free to ask as we go along or save it until the end. So these first few slides, they're a recap, changed a few words, but it's what you've seen every other year for the last few years. What is a municipal budget for the listening audience? It's our financial framework for our governing body goals. It is the means to allocate financial resources to assist in meeting those goals. It's a powerful planning tool for the city. The budget informs the public about our priorities, our goals, and our objectives, as well as what we've accomplished over the last couple of years. The City Council and Department Division goals and objectives are defined. The budget links those goals with the fiscal reality. And one of the things to keep in mind, part of the reason we do this today is because we have the annual strategic planning and goal setting session coming up. And so part of what we do is we're trying to set the stage. And the good news is we're tying our existing goals or our new goals back to the strategic goals. And finally, but last but not least, the financial allocation directs staff resources and our time based on what those priorities are in the budget. What are some of the primary considerations? The budget is a policy document. Yes, it's about money, but in reality, it starts with, it sets policy. The budget defines how those resources that we have will be distributed to address the governing body's needs. The fund balance is a necessity. As you know, it's not a luxury, because fund balance provides not only a savings account, but it also provides a cash flow for us based on our timing differences. And I know you all are aware, the way that we receive monies in arrears. So the first half of the year, we need fund balance in order to operate. What does the budget do? It provides the vision that the budget must reflect and support the governing body's policies. The revenues are finite, and we know that, so the policy decisions determine how to best utilize those finite resources. You know, we're accountants, we're bean counters, and we tie back to a system of checks and balances, and tied to that, the budget is a primary tool for you, the governing body, to accomplish our priorities as a city to serve our constituents. The budget provides city council and city management the ability to direct our resources so that we can meet those goals and allocate those resources. What are the principles? The principles tie back to building from a baseline of attainable revenue projections, because as I said a few slides before, those revenues are finite. We identify fair and accurate expenditures. We apply the appropriate balance to allow for achieving the goals and planning for those strategically, and that's what ties back to our strategic plan now. Likewise, 2 years ago, we introduced performance measures. So between the strategic goals and the performance measures that were introduced 2 years ago, they will elevate each cycle, and they'll get stronger and more looped in. So we're using those performance measures for future budgeting and decision-making and priority setting. So in summary, the budget is the most effective method to establish a vision for our community. The activities included in the budget provide the staff the direction necessary to accomplish all of our plans and goals. Keep in mind, it's only a portion of an effective strategic plan because it's 2 years. It's 2 separate one-year budgets. And some of the goals and the tasks are more than 2 years. As, for example, in our plans, and we'll talk about our plans. Those are usually 5-year plans. We need both input and support from you, our governing body, in the preparation of this budget. We recognize we're only in the formative stages, and we welcome any questions and input as we go through the process over the next 4 months. And the intention of the budget presentation is to inform the City Council of the thought process and the schedule developed for preparing this upcoming biennial budget. What's our history? We do participate in the GFOA, or the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. We do that for every budget we submit. Since 2008, 2009, when we started this, we've received this prestigious award over the past 9 cycles, covering 17 budget years, because there was 1 year in there where we had a 1-year budget to get us off cycle from the election cycle. So that's not the same time frame. So this upcoming biennial budget, we anticipate will be our 10th submission to the GFOA for this award. And as I said previously, it is 2 separate 1-year budgets. It's not a 2-year budget. So let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing and where we're headed. So around the time that we were finishing up our financial statements in December, we started our budget preparation mode in the finance department. So one of the new features that we're going to be using is we're going to be using the Tyler ERP this year, and we're going to use what's known as the Central Budget Entry Module. So it's comprised of basically 3 years of expenditures. You can also see older expenditures, but right there in front of everyone, it's the last 3 years, which is the current year of about 6 months and 2 prior years, but also the current year budget. So we're going through a training exercise. Ironically, we did our first session today, and we will be training departments tomorrow and next Tuesday with respect to the central budget module. So tied to that, departments will also be reviewing their narratives. If you remember, the narratives tie back to their past accomplishments over the last couple of years. What are their goals and how those goals are compatible with your goals and the strategic plan, and also determining what the objectives are in meeting those goals. We'll be updating the performance measures that we started with 2 years ago, and hopefully we'll be correlating the goals with the strategic plan and doing even a better job than what we started with 2 years ago. As I said previously, there's 2 5-year plans, the Capital Improvement Program plan and the Parks Improvement Plan. So what we do with those plans is review the existing projects that we have, that whether they're closed, we identify those, or what's ongoing, and any new projects, whether they're funded or unfunded. We'll determine the scope, the timelines, and what the funding source could be. But keep in mind, these are plans, because when we actually go out for achieving those CIP objectives or park improvement plan objectives or projects, that's when we actually come back to you and seek your approval. Because usually there's an RFP involved where we go out and do a competitive bid for those kinds of things. So in March, mid-March, you all will receive a budget workbook. It's probably going to look a little bit different, but we will still be providing, because we're using the central budget entry module, and we're still playing with that with respect to the output products and how that will look. But it will have a similar look and feel, but it won't be exactly what you've been used to over the last couple of cycles. We will be providing that to you in mid-March. You all will have a couple of weeks with respect to the opportunity to provide any questions back to us. And we will provide feedback prior to the study session that we are going to be doing in April. We have 2 study sessions. The first one is on the general fund, and the second one is on the special revenue, the internal service, and the 5-year plans. And what we will include in that as well will be a Measure W budget. And we'll talk about Measure W in a couple in the subsequent slide. So assuming April goes fine and well with respect to those study sessions, in May, our goal is to provide a proposed budget to you all for final review at the first meeting in May, and then with your blessing to have a proposed budget that is submitted for your approval at the second meeting in May. So what are the contents? Similar contents we anticipate with respect to having our different tabs and sections of our workbook. We'll have a general fund summary, a revenue summary, an expense summary, and a staffing summary. They will also include by department and division the narratives that tie back to the where we support and tie into the council goals and the respective departmental goals, to include the objectives in accomplishing those goals, our accomplishments for the past couple of years, and our strategic plans and performance measures that get wrapped into that. The worksheets will be by department, divisions within the department, accounts, and object codes, which ties back to the finest level of detail, the lowest level of detail. These are the departments that you're used to seeing. We have a separate tab for elected officials, our community organizations, what we as a city, not tied back to your individual amounts, but what we as a city provide to community organizations, legal services, city management and the respective divisions of the city management department, the financial services department, community and economic development and the associated divisions, public works. Notice in public works, this is the general fund portion, so we're really talking, when we're talking maintenance here, we're talking grounds and parks. Police and the associated divisions of the police department, fire and their divisions. And last but not least, general government, which are the types of things that are not directly attributable to a given department. The other funds, so we will have tabs in the workbook for those that have an operating budget. And the first one we have highlighted here is Measure W, because we will have a separate fund for Measure W where we will tie back to the anticipated budget of the revenue coming in the door from the half-cent use tax, and then what the division of that from an expenditure standpoint is. So we anticipate having a strawman budget in this budget workbook. Then the other funds that we have with respect to operating budgets, whether it be traffic safety, the Public Education and Government, or the PEG fund, which basically ties back to council chambers and the ability to do what we do in this chamber. Gas tax and Measure A, that's where the maintenance portion of public works comes into play with respect to streets. So that's why that's listed here. The solid waste, or the AB 939, the environmental fund, and then the housing fund. So other funds that are part of that second study session in April include the proprietary funds, where we will identify what our plans are for the equipment replacement, the insurance, the technology, and the facilities funds, separate from the facilities department. And then the 5-year plans, as we talked about, the capital improvement plan and the parks improvement plan. So the reason for these slides is we have various types of goals with respect to weekly or bi-weekly goals, and we did want to outline the time frame with respect to that. As I said, we've been in budget preparation mode since early December. Today, our biennial budget overview that we do with you all. The finance submissions to the departments, we submitted staffing composition from the last baseline to include this current fiscal year, and submitted those to the departments last week, and we're looking for feedback from them in 2 weeks. The same with respect to the operating budget. That's the training sessions that I talked about earlier, that we're training departments and division managers and any appropriate staff on how to utilize the tool, the central budget entry tool within the ERP. And then the narratives and the accomplishments, we'll be sending those out at the end of the month. And there's a 2-week turnaround on all of these with respect to getting the responses back. So that hopefully we have, by the middle of February, our feedback. The capital improvement plan and the parks improvement plan with respect to the time frame with respect to that, at the end of this month, we'll be submitting out to engineering for their review. We will meet with them the following week. We will then get feedback from them the following week, and hopefully we'll have a coordinated plan near the end of February for inclusion in your workbook. The management reviews will happen within financial services by the end of February, and with city management by the first week of March. And something that has been incorporated that we're continuing, which is a great idea, and that is for you all to spend your off Wednesday afternoons with us for a couple of hours from 2 to 4 p.m. and receive briefings with respect to the different departments and where we're at and what we're doing so that you can gain a flavor of good feedback, bad feedback, whatever. Provide us feedback. This was articulated on the previous slides with respect to the workbook to you all, questions from you all. We will have feedback to you the following week before that first study session on April the 9th. The second study session on April the 23rd to include the 5-year plans, and then the proposed budget and hopefully the adopted budget by the end of May. Any questions? Any answers?
Mayor, can I give you one comment before you go to council questions? One of the things I wanted to emphasize on what Kevin has said, and it goes to the enhancing our use of our electronics. So as he's talked about using the budget module, what he's really talking about is previously departments submitted their budget requests on separate spreadsheets and filled that in, and then the finance staff had to upload that by some magic and to be able to work with it. What this is going to allow is for the departments to do that entry right into the system, so it's all incorporated in one place. So it doesn't require the additional step by the finance staff to have to then take that from some other spreadsheets, incorporate it into the management system to be able to present the budget. So this is just another effort and another means and a lot of hard work that finance has done with the support of IT to automate another procedure. So I just wanted to add that in case that wasn't clear of what Kevin was speaking about.
And to piggyback on that, we will have 5 levels of an audit trail that in the system we didn't have before. That starts with the original baseline that then, as Ann pointed out, the departments will be able to provide their feedback. We will be able to do our massaging and making sure that we have the I's dotted and the T's crossed in coordination with city management at that level, and then we'll have a proposed budget, and then we'll have an adopted budget. And the glory of that, prior to, in the previous years, we would have to load through import files to get the budget into the system, and that's a process. And so now, when we do our roll on September 30th, that adopted budget that hopefully you all approve at the end of May will just roll right in there, and it will be there on July 1st. So that will help us with respect to that process, and we won't have to go through that uploading process.
It sounds like an efficiency proposal that's going to work.
Ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So of course, for being a council member, one of the things that we really look forward to is getting our budget workbook. And it's always very informative. And of course, as you said, it kind of starts the basis for us to examine more closely what the requests are and what looks like is going to be approved. One of the shortcomings that we had before was sometimes there was very little explanation. There was just a line. And so then that, of course, it started sometimes a cumbersome dialogue back and forth. And often just to find out that, of course, it was just routine things, but it was hard to tell from what we were seeing. Is this new process, do you think that's going to provide us more feedback in that early stage, or is it still going to necessitate being extensive back and forth?
It's ironic because today when we did our first, and it was kind of like a dry run, this was one of the things that we hit home on. Mallory and London, who are in the back of the room, and Rick, who's also participated and has helped lead, the three of them have led this effort. That's one of the things that in that couple of weeks period, when we're actually reviewing what comes in at what we call the level 2 from the departments, we're emphasizing in the training, this is your opportunity to justify. There's actually a box called justification for them to be able to tie back to and say, this is what it's all about. And we did an okay job last go around, and the time before we got better last time, but now we're going to tie back to making sure the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and it's more readable so that you all can trace it back to. So one of the things that will be a little bit of a lift for the departments, to include ourselves because we have to do our own in financial services, is that baseline, those are numbers. But when they do their level 2 and they provide their inputs, whether they agree or they increase or they decrease, they're also going to be putting in their justifications for the level 1 and the level 2, to identify that if they have professional services or if they have maintenance and operations, these are the vendors. So one of the things that it ties back to, and I think it was in a recent weekly report from the city manager, maybe 2 cycles ago, where we tie back to our bi-monthly of our procurement activities, we're getting more and more contracts running through the system. We're abusing Tracy and actually using the electronic system. And Patrick is sending things forward once we have something coordinated so that we can get these contracts up to date, because in getting them up to date and getting the right amounts in there, that's then going to feed into the budget module. And so on that justification tab, it will require some initial manual entry in that box, but we're going to get there.
All right, I look forward to participating. I would say seeing, but we're actually going to be participating.
And you will be able to
certain
grade
degree in the
us,
process.
you'll be able to grade us on if you think that how we've tied that, please provide feedback when you get your council workbooks, because that's how we grow.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I don't see anybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we're going to go ahead and take just a brief, oh, I'm sorry. We can have public comments, thank you.
Any request to speak forms for this item, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to provide public comment on this item, please raise your hand. I see no hands raised.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to adjourn the study session, take a quick break. We'll be back at 5:30.